Mbappe is confirmed to be leaving PSG by Fabrizio Romano. Now, I've been seeing a lot of rumors, a lot of news over the last few weeks on what exactly Mbappe is going to do. And Fabrizio was quiet. So I was like, you know what? Let me not get ahead of myself. Let me not overjoice and celebrate as if it's confirmed when, if Fabrizio doesn't say it, is it actually confirmed? I mean, we saw ESPN, we saw Bleacher Report, all these big outlets, like, was it 2-3 weeks ago, posting that Mbappe is joining Real Madrid. It's confirmed. But yet, Fab said nothing. And I'm sitting here like, if the greatest football news reporter does not say a here we go, how can I actually believe it? Do I not think that Fab would have chimed in if it really was confirmed that Mbappe would be joining Real Madrid? So I was like, you know what? Let me stay calm. Let me relax. Let me not go too overboard, even though I believe he will join us in the summer, regardless of whatever Fab would have said. Unless he would have said that he signed a new deal. Then I would have been like, ah, shit. But even though he was quiet, I believed it. But I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. I didn't want to go crazy on videos. I didn't want to make any reels, TikToks, and then get clipped up later looking like a complete idiot. Because that's happened to me before. But with the news that dropped today, brother, I don't even think I was going to record a video or go live. But once this dropped, I said, oh no, we need a football carnage. Because this, as I said earlier, is as good as here we go. Where else would Mbappe be leaving to join? Let's be honest here. If this guy does not join Real Madrid, I usually don't dislike players. But I would have to say, Mbappe would not be on my good list. Like, it would just make no sense for him to announce that he's going to PSG. Well, no, sorry, that he's leaving PSG, and then he goes to Arsenal or Liverpool. No, you're not going to leave PSG to go to those teams. You're coming to Real Madrid. He is about to form one of the best attacks in Europe. And this lineup that we have, this current team that Madrid have, you add Mbappe in there, this is a historic lineup. This will go down in history. I'm telling you guys this right now. Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, Fede Valverde, Tchouameni, Arda Güler. Oh my days. And don't forget, Hendrick is going to be joining in the summer. Oh my gosh. This is the best day of the new year so far. Now, a bunch of reports are coming out, right? Since Fab confirmed this news that he has told the PSG board that he won't be extending his contract, a lot of news have been dropping. They've been saying, oh my gosh, look, see, and my phone's going off right now with more updates. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb because every time I have notifications turned on and every time I see one, I'm looking like, is that the here we go? Is that the here we go? Obviously, it's not going to be here we go right today. Like, there's just no way. But I was the person that was saying, I don't believe Mbappe will announce his decision during the middle of PSG season. I didn't think it made sense for him to do that. So I was like, there's no way. I think, or what I thought was going to happen, was he would wait until May, maybe June, like after the season's wrapped up, and then made the decision or made it public. But to do this during the middle of the season is kind of risky because you guys know those PSG Ultras do not mess around. I fully expect Mbappe's life in France until the end of the season to be hell. I think he will be public enemy number one. But people have to understand why he made this decision. And if I'm being honest, I think that he did a great service to PSG by staying for as long as he did. Because he could have joined Real Madrid 3-4 years ago. And he stayed. He tried to win a Champions League with you guys. You guys brought in Neymar, right? Well, obviously Neymar was there before Mbappe. But he was there with Neymar. Was there with Messi. While PSG was spending all this money. And the Champions League still didn't come. What else can he do? I think he realizes that if he wants to win a Ballon d'Or, if he wants to win Champions League, if he wants to compete with Erling Haaland, he needs to join Real Madrid because that's the team that will be able to help him attain the team glory that he needs. Now, obviously, PSG are a successful club. They dominate France, right? They win Ligue 1, they win the Copa de France, and they're the main team there. But because that league is so poor in terms of quality of the other teams that they're competing against, because they're the only team that can really spend as much money, in that league. It's not like the Prem where there's 5 to 6 teams that can all spend a lot of money. Every year, it's usually going to be PSG who are spending the most money every transfer window. Let's be honest here. So people don't respect the accomplishments domestically. So everybody looks at PSG like kind of how we look at Bayern Munich in terms of, yes, we get it. You're going to win trophies in France and in Germany, right? But what will you do in the Champions League? Now, unlike Bayern Munich, right? PSG are not proven when it comes to that competition. We've seen Bayern win it. Bayern beat PSG a few years ago. So I think Mbappe's done all that he can for them. And I think he did want to win a Champions League for them because that would have cemented him as a legend in France. You kidding me? Winning a World Cup at 18 and then also going on to help PSG win their first ever Champions League? He would have probably got a statue. There might have been a Kylian Mbappé day, a national holiday. And I think he might have stayed if they had some success in Champions League. How long has he been there? Because he's been at PSG for 7 years now? I think if they would have won a Champions League, maybe he stays. Or maybe he looks at it like, I've done everything that I can. I'm going to go to Real Madrid now. But this was the move that he needed to make. It's about time he started being a serious footballer in terms of his decision-making. Because, again, I respect him wanting to stay at PSG and wanting to help them win trophies. But seeing that it's just not going to come in the Champions League, now is the time. And I actually feel bad for PSG. If I'm going to be honest, I feel for them. Because can you imagine losing the most valuable football player in the world for nothing? That's actually crazy. If I was them, I would have kidnapped him, tied him up in a basement, and you're not leaving until you sign a new contract here. Because there's no way that a player that if he had 2 to 3 years left on his deal, you could get a fee of about $300 million for him. Is going to walk out for free in their prime, in their mid-20s. I know PSG got to be pissed off right now. And if I was a PSG fan, I would hate Mbappe. Literally, I would. Because you just set the club back. I think a lot of people are going to get fired. I think they're going to have a complete overhaul. And they have been doing some good business, right, the last few seasons. They tried to win it with the big names, bringing in Sergio Ramos, Neymar, Messi, Mbappe. Hasn't worked out. I think what they need to do is go back to the drawing board. And their strategy should be trying to sign the best young talent in the world and then develop them into world-class players and have a more well-rounded team. Because it's nice to have, again, the Messis, the Neymars, and the Mbappes of the world. But sometimes you need a better team around those guys, or you just need a squad full of good players versus just 3 big names. Because obviously, having just the big names hasn't worked out for them. So I think they need a new direction. And I think it's going to be, it's going to be real bad for Mbappe the rest of this season, man, because those fans are not going to be happy with him at all. Now, when it comes to Real Madrid, right, I know I'm excited. I love this deal, and hopefully it does go through. And I think it will. It would not make any sense for him to go anywhere else. I think we do have to be honest with ourselves and say that there may be a problem on our hands. Now, it would be a good problem to have for anybody, right? But there's 2 things that I'm worried about. Is one, how is Vinny and Mbappe going to work in the same team, right? Second, what's Vinicius, or not, let me not say Vinicius. What's Mbappe's attitude going to be like when he joins this team? Is he going to expect to play off the left-hand side? Is he going to expect to get that number 7 shirt? To me, both of those cannot happen. Vinicius has that left-hand side locked down, and also the number 7. You're not taking that off of him. So I think as long as Mbappe comes into this dressing room with the right mindset and realizes he's going to have to play more centrally, and he's not going to get 7. He could take the number 9, or there's reports that Luka Modric may be leaving at the end of the season. He could take the number 10. Those are your 2 options, 9 and 10. But you're not going to get 7, and you're not going to predominantly play off of that left-hand side, because we know that Mbappe likes having free roam, and he said it multiple times that he prefers to be on that left-hand side of the attack. He doesn't really care to be central. But I think he has common sense, because there's no way that you think you're going to join Real Madrid and you're going to just displace Vinny. That's not going to happen. I think he knows what we need him for, right? Because Real Madrid don't have a striker right now. We know that we have Joselu, but he's a backup. And Jude Bellingham, even though people love to say he's a midfielder, which he is, this season, He's been playing as our false nine / striker. Let's be honest, Jude has not scored 20 goals from midfield. We have to look at when the game is played, Jude is our main guy centrally up front. Yes, he is a midfielder. And I think once Mbappe comes, he will drop back into that number 8 role because I think we're going to go back to a 4-3-3. I hate this 4-4-2 that we're running. I think it really only benefits Jude because he has that positional freedom down the middle. But I think once we get a striker, and I think it will be Mbappe in the summer, I believe we go back to a 4-3-3. I think Jude's going to be playing in a double 8, right? Now, whether you want to put Fede Valverde next to him or, it has to be Valverde, actually, because I don't think you would put Tchouaméni or Camavinga as an 8. Those guys would be competing and rotating at the 6. And I don't think Toni Kroos will be there next season. Maybe. We know that they want to offer him a 1-year deal. Or maybe Luka Modric gets a new extension as well. But point is, this team is going to be very scary. As long as Mbappe comes in with the right mindset, that he's not the star of the team. He's a player for us, right? This is a collective. It's not about you. This is a team, Real Madrid, just won a Champions League. We just won it, like 2 seasons ago? We're going to win the league this year. We don't necessarily need Mbappe. So as long as he humbles himself, right? And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't just like to believe all the reports that people put out there in terms of with his attitude because we don't know him. But I think he will come in with the right mindset, and this will work. Now, I'm interested to see what Ancelotti does, and this is why you extend a manager like Don Carlo, because when you have, he's a top 3 manager. To me, it's Pep, Carlo, Klopp right now. When you have a manager of Carlo's level that's won everything that there is to win, this dressing room respects him. The players are going to respect what he says because he's proven himself. And I think it was the right move to extend him versus maybe letting him leave this season at the end of this season and then bringing in a Xabi Alonso. And then now the dressing room doesn't really respect him as much because, yeah, Xabi is he was a good player. He played for Madrid. But as a manager, what has he done? What has he done as a manager for players to just not question him? I get it right now. Bayer Leverkusen are running the Bundesliga. They just beat Bayern Munich. They're a few points in first place. It's impressive. But to manage Real Madrid, you have to be able to handle big personalities. At Bayer Leverkusen, there's no big personalities. It's filled with young players who are happy to get a chance and they want to prove themselves. Because let's not get it confused. These players, they look at Bayer Leverkusen as a stepping stone. That's nobody's dream club, unless you're a fan. But yeah, man. 2 things that I'm nervous about. As I said, how's he gonna how's he gonna play with Vinny, and also what is it gonna be like with his attitude if he's not the main penalty taker, if he's not leading the team in goal scoring next season, even though I think he will. Now, I know there's gonna be some reports of people who are gonna come out and say, "Oh my gosh, Real Madrid have to sell Vinny. They have to sell Camavinga or Tchouaméni to balance the books." No, we don't. Trust me, we do not. We don't spend that much money in terms of net spend because we sell a lot of players from La Fabrica. That's why when that report came out that said that Real Madrid's youth academy is the best in the world, everybody laughed at it. Oh my gosh, they don't have no youth players in their first team. They buy everybody. Guys, you have to realize most of La Liga is filled with La Fabrica talents. I know that Barcelona, they have the bigger name players that have come through in the past. And Barca, they do put a focus on bringing their youth players that have a lot of promise into the first team. But that's because right now they're broke. So, of course, they're going to look at their academy and say, yo, who here has the best potential that we can go get some game time or give it to him? So let's not get it confused here. La Fabrica is very good, and we do sell players. We make a lot of money from profit. On top of that, we generate the most revenue in world football. You guys see the new Santiago Bernabéu is almost done. We're going to have NFL games there, concerts, a bunch of things. We're going to possibly generate in the next 2 years 1 billion in revenue for a calendar year. It's coming. Trust me. Real Madrid are very smart how we operate. And we're going to be able to afford Mbappe. And I think if we wanted to, we could go get Haaland as well if we were being greedy. But, man, Mbappe, it looks like it's coming, man. All that we're waiting for is the here we go. But I don't need it. In my mind, he's already a Real Madrid player. But again, there is just a little bit of uncertainty where I am a bit nervous on how it will work. But I think if all the players are not selfish, and if they all realize that the goal here is to keep winning La Ligas, Champions Leagues, Copa del Reyes, Spanish Super Cup, this will work. What stops this Real Madrid team from winning our first ever treble next season? And then after the treble, I'm talking about a quadruple after the next season. What stops this team from doing it? I think only ourselves. Injuries, maybe. But wow. I mean, just imagine this lineup right here, a 4-3-3. Courtois is going to be back from injury. Danny Carvajal at right back. A center back partnership of Eder Militao and Rudiger. Left back, we're going to talk about Alphonso Davies. But for right now, let's just go with what we have here. Fran Garcia, Mendy. You can rotate them. I actually prefer Fran, though, in my opinion. In the 3 midfield, in that 6 role, Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Let them rotate. Let them battle it out. The 2 8s, Jude, Valverde. Don't forget, Arda Güler is going to be in that conversation as well, people. I know that this year he hasn't played that much because he's been hurt. And he's kind of just coming back the last few weeks off of a long injury. But he's going to be there. He's a player as well that's really good. Then you're going to go to that front 3. Vinny on the left. Mbappe down the middle. Rodrigo on the right. And then as I said, people, don't forget that Endrick is going to be coming in the summer. He's going to be able to get into that squad as well. Rotate. Also, don't forget about Brahim Diaz, who's been cooking this season. He's going to also be fighting to get into that starting 11. Competition is good. And I think that at Real Madrid, we have a lot of competition. And I just cannot believe it. This is one of the best days of this year for me, man. Like, this is big. This is major. And I'm hoping that Mbappe does not play us. Because I think if it does not happen this summer, it's never going to happen. And if Mbappe does not join Real Madrid this summer, I don't want us to get him, period. We don't need him, as I said earlier. There's a bunch of other strikers that we can go for. And yes, I do agree that Mbappe is the best attacker in the world. I think he's way better than Haaland. I think the only striker that I'd put maybe above him in terms of attacking that could be better is Harry Kane. Because I think Harry Kane has a better overall game. Right? Harry Kane can pick up the ball. He can link play. He's a good passer. He's a great finisher. He is a better all-around player than Mbappe. But when I'm talking about the next generation, the guy who I think is going to take over from Messi and Ronaldo, it's Mbappe. He's a much better player than Haaland. He's better than Julian Alvarez. He's better than a lot of these guys. And I know that people are saying that Vinny is better than him. We don't need Mbappe. Do not kid yourselves, guys. I love Vinicius, but he's not better than Mbappe. When you're talking about Kylian, you're talking about a big game player. This is a guy that scored a hat trick in the World Cup final. This is a guy that at 18 years old helped France win a World Cup. Look at how he steps up in Champions League. All big games. He has that mentality to play for this club, and he will be a success. I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. The Mbappe to Real Madrid transfer will go down as one of the best moves in football history, especially when you consider that it didn't cost Real Madrid anything in terms of a transfer fee. Now, obviously, he's going to have huge wages and a big signing on bonus. But I've been seeing reports that Perez does not want to break our wage structure to sign him. So while I do think that Mbappe will be our highest paid player, it's not going to be $1 million a week. I think we're going to get him for about $600K. That's fair to me. That puts him in the $20 million per season range. What's wrong with that? Maybe even the low 30 millions. But I think point is, it's a good deal. Now, before I move on, I do want to say that I think every club in Europe that considers themselves an elite club will tap up his agent. They will want to see, is there any chance that Mbappe would join us, right? Not us in terms of Real Madrid, but join their club. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to try to make an offer. You have to try to see whether he'd be willing to come. But I think it's already set in stone, man. This is a Real Madrid move right here. And I just cannot believe it, man. Look, we're finally almost close to the end of this Mbappe saga.